Ladies and gentlemen, how AEW fared their fans. This is by Wrestleology. 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 Yes, sir. I go by the name of Papa Jr. This is the Ring Out Podcast. Appreciate you guys clicking on the video to watch this reaction. Y'all let me know your thoughts after this reaction. What you think about AEW so far, what they can do in the future, how they failed us wrestling fans. I was a day one in 2019, and then 2024 I said fuck all. After that little clip that fucking they gave with the CM Punk and Jack Perry at All In, I said fuck this shit, man. I ain't doing this shit no more, man. I'm done, bro. This shit's falling apart. They can't get CM Punk out of their fucking heads, bro. It's fucking ridiculous. But this video is by Wrestleology. How AEW failed their fans. Hit the like, hit the subscription. Appreciate you. I'm trying to build a family, man. Help me out here. 2025, I'm trying to make it big and beyond. Post shows Tuesdays on Raw. I'm doing a watch along for History Raw on Netflix. Hope you guys could join me there. I'm not gonna waste your time, man. Let's do this. Boom. Let's go.
When All Elite Wrestling first burst onto the scene in 2019, fans were hyped. Finally, an alternative, a major competitor to WWE in decades, and for a while, AEW delivered exactly what wrestling fans had been craving. Fresh stories, dream matches becoming reality, CM Punk making his earth-shattering return to wrestling after nearly a decade away, stars like Kenny Omega, MJF, and Darby Allin finally getting national TV exposure alongside household names like Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, Sting, and even guys like Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole choosing AEW over WWE. Times were exciting, and it looked like AEW was destined to change pro wrestling forever. But somewhere down the line, it looks like All Elite Wrestling has just pretty much lost its way.
I gotta give it to Tony Khan and All Elite Wrestling. They have changed everything. Everything changed for the better in pro wrestling, to be honest. Brought more fans in, brought a lot of fans back. You know, those that just gave up on wrestling, it brought a lot of fans back. It brought CM Punk back after 10 years. Whoever would have thought? People was like, yeah, CM Punk would eventually come back. It was the thing. It was because of Vince running the show. Vince was running the show, and we had an alternative. CM Punk was sitting in the background, checking out AEW was. He's like, you know what, fuck it. I want to get paid, and I want to change the game. And also, his mission was to take down the WWE. Vince was running it. Like Seth said, bro, you were talking all this shit about us. You wanted us to burn, but we still here, you know? But it brought us back. It brought CM Punk back. We had great matches from Bryan Danielson, matches that he wanted to do in WWE that he couldn't do. They won't let him do. And exposed to us to new superstars, Darby Allin, MJF, AEW. First time seeing MJF was because of AEW, not MLW, not CZW, none of that. Well, it was that Ring of Honor pay-per-view they did All Out in Chicago, and then they signed MJF. What else? Kenny Omega on U.S. soil. I saw him at Wrestle Kingdom versus Okada. That series, that shit was a banger. The Young Bucks, Bullet Club, that was great times. And then they made their own shit. I was following Being the Elite. Those were great times as well. And then AEW was born with a billionaire Tony Khan. So you got to give them props, man. You got to give Tony Khan and AEW, you got to give them props for changing the fucking game. But now, yeah.
Excitement has faded, the novelty has worn off, and even the hardcore All Elite enthusiasts are tuning out and wondering if this is the same company that once promised to change the face of pro wrestling.
No.
So what caused this paradigm shift? What made AEW go from a legit competitor to barely staying relevant? How did it go from jam-packed stadiums to half-empty arenas? And how did the ratings go from hitting almost 1 million to getting thrashed by WWE's developmental brand NXT? Well, this is is Grease from Wrestleology, and today we'll answer all those questions.
Shout out to
and much
Wrestleology,
more
man.
as we dive deep into the downfall and future of All Elite Wrestling.
Oh my gosh. This was a fucking fail too.
Constantly. That's what it is.
Let's rewind the clock back to All In.
Tony, this is all your fault. You didn't do anything to stop the beef behind the scenes, bro. You didn't do anything. You let it rock. Thinking, oh, no, everything will be fine. Everything will be okay. Okay, I'm going to give you your own show and we'll separate them. My man, sit them down, talk it out, bro. This is all your fucking fault. You didn't step in, bro. And stop this fucking madness. You let it rock and look what happened. And now you hate Punk? Get the fuck out of here. You know damn well you miss him, bro.
In 2023, what was supposed to be the biggest show in the history of the company ironically marked the beginning of its downfall. Prior to his match versus Samoa Joe, the real AEW World Champion CM Punk got into a backstage altercation with Jungle Boy Jack Perry. And this wasn't the first time Punk was linked to backstage drama in AEW. Just a few months prior, Punk had gotten into a backstage fight with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega after going off on Hangman Page during the infamous Brawl Out incident. This situation led to both Punk and the Bucks getting suspended from AEW. On his return to Collision in June 2023, Punk would claim himself as the real AEW World Champion, and it looked like all this was leading to a dream feud between MJF and Punk to determine the undisputed AEW World Champion later down the road. But a certain scapegoat had other plans. During a match on Collision, Jungle Boy Jack Perry wanted to use real glass in a segment, but Punk, being the veteran, advised against it for safety reasons. Apparently, Jack took offense to this advice and mocked Punk in front of the whole world, and he said,
Jack Perry pausing and then crushing
real glass.
Crushing the
Don't
abdomen.
cry me a river.
and in my opinion, down the line, this is going to be one of the biggest butterfly effects in wrestling history, period. Punk would go on to quit AEW and return to WWE to one of the loudest pops in history, and even compete side by side with Roman Reigns in War Games. Yeah, imagine telling that to someone 2 years ago. But this wasn't even the worst part. What really damaged AEW's credibility was how Tony Khan handled the whole situation. In April 2024, long after Punk had left the company, AEW would air footage of the backstage altercation between Punk and Jack Perry, which many claimed was for cheap publicity and a desperate attempt to get some eyes on the product.
Backfire.
And this has been a common theme in AEW, relying on real-life drama instead of coming up with creative storylines that keep the audience engaged. Now, don't get me wrong, there are times when AEW will come up with some great storytelling, like when Hangman won the title against Kenny Omega, or the recent Swerve versus Hangman saga where both
And they did Hangman dirty after this, bro. After that feud, great feud he had with Swerve Strickland, his fucking momentum just died, bro. Died. He had a fucking feud with Jeff Jarrett, I think, after that. And it just went down and down and down. And then they want to put him in World's End with the Fatal 4-Way for the World Heavyweight Champion to make it seem like, oh no, he still got that spark. Get the fuck out of here. Hangman has not been the same, bro. And I feel sorry for Hangman, bro. At the same time, I don't, because you were part of that fucking shit with CM Punk, man. But this is all Tony Khan's fault, bro. You gotta listen to the veterans, bro. Those that paved the way and shit like that. And you wouldn't listen to these fucking Cucamonga kids and these indie darlings. Like, you gotta, bro. You gotta listen to people that were been at the top already. And you let these people fucking run you over, and then look what happened. Now you lost fans. You're throwing money here and there just to keep wrestlers from not going to the WWE. And you're fucking yourself up. Hopefully in 2025, they turn things around, bro. Fight for the Fallen, that wasn't it, cuz.
men were legitimately trying to end each other's careers. But most AEW storylines simply fall flat and lack the compelling drama and character development that keeps viewers invested week after week. I mean, let's just take the Adam Cole MJF Devil storyline for example. It was supposed to be the biggest story for AEW heading into All In 2023. And I remember when this summer was happening, this was the most I've ever been invested into AEW.
The injuries, man. Injuries fucked it up.
Fans were invested, and everyone was eagerly speculating who would stab
This
who
was
in the back
fun.
first. But what followed was a massive disappointment. While Cole would reveal himself as the Devil and form the Undisputed Kingdom, he would get injured shortly after, and the Devil storyline would be left hanging, never getting the proper conclusion that it deserved. And these injuries have been a major thorn in AEW's side for quite a long time now, with top names in the company like Kenny Omega, Adam Copeland, and Eddie Kingston being out of action for months due
I
to
miss
injury.
Eddie Kingston,
it has
bro.
really hurt AEW's star power in a massive way. But injuries aren't the biggest reason that has led to AEW's
Oh,
decline.
God.
The biggest reason behind AEW's downfall is something that has been present since the company's early days and has become more apparent in recent months. When AEW first burst onto the scene, fans were super excited to finally have fresh faces on national television. They were thrilled to have names like Kenny Omega, MJF, Hangman Page, and the Young Bucks, guys who really made their name in the indies, and promotions like New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor finally getting the spotlight that they deserved. And with names like Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho, and Bryan Danielson coming into the mix, the fans couldn't wait for all the dream matches to unfold. But amidst all the dream match excitement, Tony Khan and company seem to have forgotten one of the biggest elements that makes pro wrestling special. The one thing that keeps fans glued to their screens and keeps them coming back week after week.
Story,
You see,
man.
if we take a quick glance at WWE today,
Story.
the Bloodline saga has been going on for almost 5 years, but even now,
And it's
there are
still gonna
always new
continue.
developments. There's always something that keeps the fans invested. Every match, every segment seems to serve some purpose in the big picture. Whether it's Kevin Owens beating the hell out of Cody Rhodes for siding with Roman Reigns, whether it's Drew McIntyre targeting and taking out Sami
Oh,
Zayn and Jey
story,
Uso for
bro.
realigning with Roman Reigns, whether it's Seth Rollins refusing to align with the OG Bloodline for War Games, every piece ties together into a smooth narrative. That's what makes compelling TV. And it's not just now. Let's look at the biggest feuds in wrestling history, whether it's Rock versus Austin, Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker, John Cena versus Edge, or even Daniel Bryan winning the world title, overcoming the Authority at WrestleMania. Each great moment has had one crucial
This
element
is
that
not
made it
working.
memorable.
This Death
But
Rider
all elite
shit.
wrestling seems to have lost sight in the basic wrestling principle. They keep booking these dream matches with little to no build at all. Whether it's a pay-per-view like Forbidden Door or an episode of Collision, most AEW cards seem like randomly
Who the
thrown
fuck are
together
these?
matches
Oh,
at
that's
the last
Chris. Who's
minute
the other
instead of
girl?
payoffs for compelling stories that the fans want to watch. And in my opinion, this is the biggest reason that's turning even
This shit
hardcore
ain't
AEW
working,
fans
cuz.
into skeptics. I mean, look at the current state of AEW. The biggest story currently is Jon Moxley basically turning himself into NWO Hulk Hogan,
No,
holding the
no. Don't. Do not disrespect NWO, cuz. Do not disrespect them, bro. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
company hostage and rebuilding it in his own image. Now, I'm not going to be a Debbie Downer and dismiss the storyline before it even gets a chance to play out, but looking at AEW's history with such stories, I honestly don't really expect a huge payoff. And I mean, just look at the whole AEW versus the Elite saga, which started hot with the Bucks and Okada taking out Kenny Omega and Tony Khan on TV. But what did that lead to? Yeah, you're right. Nothing at all. And
Nothing,
speaking of
bro.
Okada,
All a publicity stunt. Don't get me started on Okada, bro. They're paying him millions and millions of dollars, and he has not been the same since he left New Japan, bro. He has not, man. His fucking catchphrase is bitch all the time. And like, all right, this shit getting corny as hell. His fucking matches is just slow as fuck. Like, what the hell? Like, they gave him the Continental Championship just for him to have gold, bro. That Continental Championship don't mean nothing. That shit don't mean nothing, bro. They had a tournament for the fifth most important title, and he wins it all again. The king of all tournaments. I'm like, bro, it doesn't feel important. It doesn't feel like, oh shit. That belt should be like I don't want to say money in the bank, but hmm. There should be some certain rule for that title belt. Like if you keep that belt for a long period of time, let's say 6 months, and you defend them this how many times, throughout those 6 months, you get a world title opportunity. You get to compete for the world championship, and put it up put it up for grabs. Um, make a little not a mini tournament. I don't know, bro. Something. Because he just has a belt just to have a belt. Same thing with Mercedes. Mercedes just got there and they just gave her the belt. And now she got 4 belts on her. I mean, good for her. She's living the dream. But it's like, I don't give a fuck, bro. It looks so forceful, man. Like, I just giving her belt. Just giving her. It's not working. She's not bringing more people to watch the product, bro. I just giving and giving and giving it. Like, nah, it ain't working, cuz.
Boy, let's talk about AEW's booking of Okada. This is one of the
Atrocious,
biggest stars
bro.
in Japanese wrestling in the last decade. I mean, just look at Okada.
He's
from
barely
every
doing
wrestling
anything
show.
there.
The aura is off the charts. The man is treated like a god, a true main event star rivaling.
I
the presence of
enjoyed
names
this
like
Okada
CM
in New
Punk and
Japan.
maybe even Roman Reigns. But ever since Okada joined AEW, he's been relegated to the upper mid-card, wrestling on Collision, and comedic bits like this.
The new audience, I guess.
I pressed the wrong button. I'm so sorry. Bitch.
Now, I love a good comp.
And these people that enjoy this shit, I don't want to be friends with you, man. Y'all niggas is corny, bro. Man, come on, bro. That shit was ass, man.
Comedy and a bit of wrestling.
It was funny at first. Nah, fuck that, bro. Like, it didn't bother me, but then they just kept doing it, and I'm like, bro, come on. This is so cringe, bro.
But if that's the best you can come up with for one of the biggest names outside WWE in the past 10 years, then there's some serious soul searching to be done, Tony Khan. And it's not just Okada who has been mishandled. Let's talk about the questionable booking of guys like Malachi Black,
Oh my
Miro,
God.
or Keith Lee. It seems to be a reoccurring pattern at this point. Big name signs with AEW, they get the All Elite graphic, they get hyped for 2 weeks, and then they get lost in the shuffle. Next thing you know,
I
the
can't
wrestling
wait
on
when he
Collision are
returns
rampant.
to the WWE.
It's like Tony Khan has way too many toys and he doesn't know what to do with them. The same has been the case with Mercedes Moné. When Mercedes, formerly known as Sasha Banks, first
I
arrived
fucking
in
hate
AEW,
Mercedes Moné,
fans
bro.
thought the AEW Women's
Give me
Division
Sasha
was
Banks
finally
back.
gonna be resurrected. And while things looked quite promising for a few weeks with some tension between Britt Baker and Moné, the CEO's arrival hasn't quite lived up to the expectations. The booking of these stars just seems all over the place. No long-term plans, just thrown together matches and segments. Well, except the booking of one Chris Jericho, which has been consistent, and by consistent, I mean consistently awful. Okay?
Yes.
All of Jericho's storylines,
Yes,
from
this
the Inner
learning
Circle
tree
to
shit is
JAS
ass.
to the learning tree, all seem to follow the same pattern, and the fans have made it evident that they don't like it at all.
New title for the Mozart of the mat game. The learning tree, Chris Jericho, who has already taught plenty of people. Hook.
This is a big problem. And speaking of problems, let's address the elephant in the room, the sheer number of championships in AEW. At this point, it feels like everyone and their grandmother
Stop
has a title.
bringing
When you have
Ring of
multiple
Honor
world
to
championships,
AEW,
multiple
bro.
Tag team championships and titles that barely get defended or even shown on TV, it dilutes the
Who the
importance of being
fuck
a
are the
champion.
trios
Now, you could make the
champions?
same argument for WWE now because they're starting to create the women mid-card titles and they had the Crown Jewel one, but let's be honest, the Crown Jewel one is like only a one-time thing a year. I feel like the only title in WWE that really doesn't matter is probably the Women's Tag Team Championship, but everything else at least is made important even a little bit on TV, unlike some of these AEW titles. But all of these issues ultimately point to one central problem: Tony Khan's leadership, or rather the lack thereof. Look, I'll give credit where it's due. Khan's passion for professional wrestling is undeniable. He's a lifelong fan who managed to create a legitimate alternative to WWE. But being a passionate fan doesn't automatically make you a good booker or leader. The signs have been there from the beginning too. Instead of taking feedback from the vets in the business or listening to the broader audience, Tony Khan seems to be more focused on pleasing a small vocal section of the internet wrestling community. He's booking shows like a fan playing with action figures rather than a promoter building compelling, long-term storylines and characters that draw money. What's even more concerning though is his lack of backbone when it comes to making tough decisions. Whether it's being unable to tell the talents no when they pitch ideas that don't make sense, or his reluctance to streamline the bloated roster, Khan seems more interested in being the cool boss rather than being an effective leader. Just look at his Twitter behavior. constantly defending ratings, making excuses for poor attendance, and getting into arguments with critics instead of focusing on improving the product.
It's
That is
sad,
not
bro.
what a leader of a major
That's not a
wrestling
leader,
company should
bro.
be doing.
That's a little
As
bitch.
a result, the product feels directionless, storylines start and stop without proper resolution.
And don't get mad when people like Eric Bischoff calls you out, bro. Don't get mad at him, bro. Prove him wrong. Because all you doing is proving him right. When Eric Bischoff said that AEW will not be better than WWE, I believe it because I'm seeing it for myself. I don't need him to tell me that. And they're not growing. They're not. You had it. And then y'all dropped the ball because y'all can't get CM Punk out of your fucking heads, bro. Living rent free. And then y'all don't want to create story, bro. This Death Rider shit ain't it. Because I could see it right now. Kenny Omega is back. And then all of a sudden, they're going to find a way for the Bucks and Kenny Omega to get back together. Bring in Hangman as well. The Elite are back. Oh my God. They're going to bring AEW. What are we talking about here? First of all, the Death Riders talking all this shit that they run AEW. They got AEW by their fucking throat. I don't see anything going on in AEW that makes me believe that the Death Riders have AEW on the fuck in the choking them. Nothing, bro. I don't see any of that shit. All they pop up is when they pop up. They get their turn. This is their segment at this time, and that's it. And then throughout the rest of the show, we don't hear from them. We don't see nothing. Everybody's doing their own thing. It's like, what are we talking about? There's no takeover here. That sounds stupid right now. Talk about we're crumbling AEW and then all this shit. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. What the hell you talking about, bro? Nah. We're taking those and fucking building them. Who are you building up? Yuta? Hell no, bro. I can't even take him serious. What the fuck you talking about?
Talents get lost in the shuffle, and the actual audience in arenas keeps shrinking while
I went to the first ever Grand Slam, bro. That was my only AEW event I have ever went to. And that was a blast. Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson. I was there. We can't even get a part 2. That shit ended in a no contest, bro. We didn't get a part 2, nothing. No story from there. Yeah, I had a story there, and y'all didn't fucking do anything. And Kenny got hurt. Was gone for like almost a year. Diverticulitis or some shit. Injuries with Brian. That never came back to that, man. That show, bro. I enjoyed it, man, so much. I even stood for that Rampage. I'm like, you know what? I was glad Rampage was over. Rampage, I'm glad that shit is gone. That shit was a waste of time. Ain't nobody watching Rampage after SmackDown. Only like 100,000 people. That's why they got rid of it, because it was a waste of time. They rather just put some rerun or some movie or some shit.
Khan celebrates the
DC
social
movie.
media engagement numbers. Remember
Get
the
some
Dynamite
ratings from that time.
Once threatened to overtake Raw in 2019 to 2020, they're now struggling to maintain 500,000 viewers and are constantly getting beat by NXT, dude. Yet instead of addressing these fundamental issues, we get more titles, more random debuts, and more excuses from Tony Khan. So what's next for All Elite Wrestling? Well, the company still has some bright spots. When they get it right, like with the recent Swerve Strickland and Hangman storyline, or some of the recent Will Ospreay matches, they show glimpses of what made fans fall in love with AEW in the first place. But for AEW to truly turn things around, some major changes need to happen. First and foremost, they need to simplify things, cut down the number of titles, and focus on building compelling stories with the incredible talent that they already have rather than constantly bringing in new faces. They need to stop relying on dream matches and start building proper feuds again. Give us reasons to care about these matches and watch the shows beyond just these two good wrestlers are gonna wrestle. Remember how invested fans were in the Hangman Page story on his road to overcoming self-doubt and winning the AEW World Championship? That's the kind of long-term storytelling that made AEW special. The company also desperately needs someone with creative experience to help guide the ship. Tony Khan clearly has passion and knowledge of wrestling history, but his booking decisions suggest that he needs help structuring the shows and telling telling coherent stories.
Look
Whether
at
that's
him,
bringing in
ew.
experienced writers or listening to more of the veterans in the locker room, something there needs to change 100%. And most importantly, AEW needs to rediscover its identity. What made them different from WWE wasn't just the in-ring style, it was their ability to tell authentic stories that felt fresh and exciting. They need to stop trying to be WWE light and start trying to be AEW again. The only thing that really did kind of change for the AEW and WWE like war was the fact that WWE is just genuinely a better product right now than it was in 2019 to 2020. But when it comes to AEW, I mean, the talent is there, the resources are there, the fans still want AEW to succeed, but unless these fundamental issues are addressed, we might be watching the slow decline of what could have been one of the biggest success stories in pro wrestling history. It'll be interesting to see what the future holds for AEW going into 2025. I certainly hope that the company can bounce back and truly rebuild itself. But if the recent Ray Phoenix Twitter drama is any indication, then things don't really look too promising. But let me know what you think. Will AEW survive 2025?
That's a great question because I did a video of that, you know, if I should give it another shot, you know. I watched the first episode. I didn't even finish the first episode. I did not watch that main event. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. I don't even know who won, and I don't give a shit. Nothing major happened, bro. I bet you a team won from that 6-man tag. A team won, and then they said, "Thank you for watching. Good night, everybody." No cliffhanger, nothing. Like, what are we doing here, bro? Give us something to make me look forward to next week. Not just one person. Oh, Kenny Omega's coming back next week. What, he just gonna talk? I've been through a lot. I was gone. I miss you guys. I miss this ring, and I'm back. MJF, I don't know what he's gonna talk about. You know. I'm just frustrated at the fact that it's come down to this, man. I'm frustrated at the fact it has come down to this, bro. You lost a lot of fans. I'm one of them. And I was willing to give you guys another shot, and y'all disappointed me in the first episode. Seriously, man. I want to watch again. Now, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because now Raw is 3 hours. SmackDown is 3 hours. That's 6 hours of fucking wrestling a week. That's fucking exhausting enough. And then 2 more hours, that's 8 hours of fucking wrestling every week. And then we got the monthly pay-per-views once a month. You got Grand Slam Australia next month in February. We got fucking Saturday night's main event on the 25th of January. Then the Royal Rumble the following week. That's a lot going on going into February, man. AEW, they got the talent, man. Their roster's fucking great. Look at these guys right here, especially. They got the fucking talent. But if you got no story, bro, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. You're not gonna get no people to be coming back to watch your product on a weekly basis. They just gonna check out the clips and be like, I didn't miss anything at all. And it's sad, because that's exactly what I'm doing. And it's fucking sad. Ladies and gentlemen, Ring Out Podcast. I'm Papo Jr.